It's just taking a second.
No worries.
We're
No worries.
live. We're live.
Hey, we're live.
We're live. We're live. Woo!
Woo!
All right,
So
Sarah.
climactic.
This is Sarah Rodriguez, my friend and an amazing comedian. I love Sarah.
Aw.
She's fearless and she's super kind, but so super kind and super dark, which is my favorite in the world. But she's fearless. And part of how I know that is because Sarah lived at the Cecil, not once, not twice. And Sarah is the one that told me to watch the documentary on the Cecil Hotel. And after I watched it, I was just like, holy, like I knew Sarafina was badass, but I did not know how badass. What? So we're going to talk.
Cool.
So cool. Come on. I don't
So cool for living in a serial killer hotel.
Yeah. So did you know at like the beginning of the documentary it says it twice, like the Cecil is where serial killers go to let their hair down.
Well, it's where I went to let my hair down. So whatever you want to take from that, I guess.
Yeah. Oh man. So what did you know that serial killers had lived there, or did they still live there when you lived there?
No, I got to hop, skip, and jump all the serial killers, thank God. No, when I moved in there, I just walked in because I saw that they were doing like weekly and monthly deals, and the foyer was just so beautiful, and the lobby was incredible. But it wasn't until after I was living there for maybe a month that I finally started talking to some of my neighbors, and I knew about one serial killer, like the guy that had moved over here from Germany. Some guy told me that he was like a local Jack the Ripper, that he would go and like lure prostitutes into his cab and take them home, and yeah. So I knew about that guy, but I mean, it's Skid Row, like it's a crazy area.
But okay, if that was me and I lived somewhere and they were like, oh yeah, serial killer used to live here, I would lose my mind.
Lose your mind with excitement or lose your mind with panic?
Both. And that's the crazy thing about being a human being, right? It's like the car accident. You don't want to look, but you can't help but look. Sure. And so I would want to know everything, and I would also wish I didn't know anything. But did you know where his room was in comparison to where yours was?
Oh, I'm not sure. It's been so long since I've lived there. I know I lived on the 9th floor, but I can't remember which. I want to say like 926 was my room, but I can't say for certain. But I know that's where all like the seedy stuff happened too. It was like the 9th floor and above. So
the seedy stuff was on your floor?
Well, I mean, every floor is kind of like creepy like that. But like you can watch in the documentary, they even tell you like don't go above a certain floor because that's when they're throwing people out of windows and all that crazy stuff. That was like back in like the 70s and 80s, I'm sure. By the time I got there, it was a pretty quiet place, but the people living there were still pretty shady. There were like older men living there that were super creepy, and prostitutes, and old Vietnam vets. It was an interesting mix of neighbors.
So did you ever go to did you find out what room the serial killers lived in?
Oh, I don't remember.
I feel like I would walk by them all the time and look at them and then wish I hadn't.
Well, you're a bigger creep than me, I guess. I don't know. I guess maybe I was too spooked to do that. I don't know. We weren't encouraged to go wandering around like in like other hallways and stuff. Like it was one thing to like go to the lobby or like the above the lobby had like a little business center. But it was very like, we weren't allowed to have guests over. We were discouraged from going into each other's rooms. I think it was mainly because of the prostitution that was there, because
Right.
the prostitution was still alive and well when I lived there.
Wow. How do you know the prostitution was alive and well?
Well, I lived right next door to one. I was just walking home
Whoa.
one day. Yeah, I was walking home one day, and this blonde lady who was obviously a prostitute, she looked good. She she just started talking to me. She's like, "Hey, what are you up to?" And I'm like, "Just going home from work." And she's like, "Me too. I'm just headed home myself. Where are you from?" I'm like, "Oh, I just moved here from Portland, Oregon." And she's like, "Oh, I used to live in Portland, Oregon too." I'm like, "Cool. Well, this is my building." And she's like, "Me too." And I'm like, "Oh, great." We both walked in and we were waiting by the elevator. And this old Vietnam vet who was missing a limb or two was like, "Where are you headed?" And she's like, "I'm going the same place as you are, honey." And he was like, "All right." And I was like, "Oh, that's great." And we all just get into the elevator together. It was almost very Wizard of Ozzy, It's like a little adventure of a group of misfits that don't really know each other.
And they both went into the same room?
Well, we all got off on the same floor, and yeah, they both went into her room. So,
Did you hear noises?
no, but thank God I didn't hear any
Thank
noises.
God. They must have really thick walls.
They say
I
that
mean,
place
after
was
watching the
built really
doc, I
well.
was like, they just need to burn that place down. But it is beautiful, but they made it a historic landmark. So I
Well,
don't think it ever can be knocked down. But now that I'm hearing that the walls are that heavy, it's probably good.
Well, I remember watching the documentary. The manager said that that place had good bones. It was built really well and correctly. So, I mean,
Sounds like something a serial killer would say.
I know, right?
He's got good
bones. That said, though, like they're trying to sell it off as like, luxury lofts right now, but you're literally in Skid Row and you can't just locate thousands of people out of that area. I mean, you walk around the corner and like it's tent city out there. So, I mean, I don't know. I feel like it's kind of hopeless. And considering how tainted it is and hearing the history, like, yeah, maybe it should be torn down. Like, maybe there is some haunting stuff going on there. But all the buildings are like that downtown. They all have really sordid pasts.
Did you experience any haunting when you were there?
I mean, I've seen shadows and stuff. You want to doubt yourself, but like I lived on the 9th floor of a building, and there was a supposed lady in black that was supposed to be walking around the hallways in a black dress with a black veil over her face, looking for her husband. And lucky me, I lived on that floor. And I don't know. I could chalk it up to saying like maybe I was too tired or something. But yeah, there are shadows in my peripherals. They go past me. You don't know what's happening. It could be some crackhead hanging out in the hallways, or it could be this ghost lady looking for her husband. I don't know what he did to piss her off, but she's still looking for that dude. So,
And you're just like, I'm just trying to live.
yeah.
I'm just trying to live my life, and there's a ghost and crackheads.
I was so naive when I first moved into the Cecil. Like, I was really naive.
I don't think anybody moves in there not naive.
God, I hope not. I hope nobody.
Well, no, you went back. You went back, right?
Yeah, but that's because rent was so cheap there,
Yeah. How cheap was it?
It was $7.25 a month, and you did get maid service, so they had to change out your sheets and all that jazz. So
that's
great. I was a hotel guest, but like on permanent stay. So, but I wasn't allowed to receive mail. I wasn't allowed to have friends over.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. That's interesting that they cleaned your sheets. They washed your sheets and vacuumed?
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing.
Because it's literally a hotel room that you're renting. So it's not like I'm using my own bedding for all that stuff. They have to come change it out. So.
Wow. Did they come at a certain day, or did you ask them to come change it?
No, for the people that were staying there more long term, they came on Saturdays, like once a week.
Wow.
Things stuff out.
And so when the serial killers lived there, would they come change the sheets for the serial killers?
I would imagine so. Like it's a freaking hotel, so yeah, they should.
Wow. All right, so there was the Jack the Ripper, was that his name?
Well, it wasn't his actual name. I don't remember his name. He was killing people over in, I want to say Germany or Australia or somewhere. But he escaped, like he fled, and instantly the murders went down there and the murders went up here in Skid Row. So, no, I mean, like, that's the guy that was like super famous. The Night Stalker was the other guy. And there's a whole documentary about that dude on Netflix.
Right. You told me to watch that too. Thank you.
That's a really spooky one. That one actually creeps me out more than the
So
Cecil one does.
I don't know why the Cecil scared me more. I don't know. Maybe a building scares me more than a person.
I will say that it's not so much about ghosts down there as it is about energy down there. When you
Right.
go
That's
into
what I
those,
mean. The energy. I wouldn't
yeah,
want.
someone seeing ghosts, you just feel an eeriness when you're in these buildings. Back in the day, Keanu Reeves made a movie called Constantine where he played like this like demon hunting angel or something weird.
Oh.
Somewhere like that. Well, they filmed it in downtown Los Angeles, and every scene that they have is just like some scuzzy, seedy room. And those are filmed in buildings downtown all over the area. And yeah, that's really what it feels like. You feel the dinginess, you feel the Skid Row, you feel the crack addiction, and you feel the history in all those buildings. And I would say it's not so much that you're seeing ghosts, but you're seeing people reacting to that energy, people falling off buildings, jumping off buildings, killing themselves, people getting murdered. That's really the more creepy stuff that I've seen
Right.
living up there.
Did you see any suicides?
Yeah, yeah. And I think they're still really prevalent in the downtown area. There's always going to be stories about people jumping off buildings, falling out of buildings. I had a neighbor once who, well, I pissed him off. I was doing laundry down in the laundry room, and I waited like 20 minutes, and all the dryers were still full. So one had just been sitting there done for a while. And I pulled out the laundry and I placed it over on the folding table, and I put my stuff in. And the guy came in to get his stuff, and he did not like what I had done. And so when I wasn't there, he put bleach in my dryer of drying clothes and pretty much destroyed my entire load of laundry. And I was really pissed off about it. But then, like a week and a half later, he ran and jumped off of the 8th floor fire escape window, and he hit a street lamp on the way down. And I missed that happening, but when I got home, there was police tape and there was blood all over the ground. And so when I learned it was that guy, I mean, I didn't.
You were like, "Oh no, it's a suicide," and then you found out it was him. You were like,
Well, no, if anything, I just didn't. No, that guy was a piece of shit. Who cares? No, not at all. I think I just thought like, okay, I can't take this personally. This is not about me doing something to this guy. This guy obviously has way bigger problems than just some douchebag neighbor taking his laundry out.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't bleach somebody's clothes because somebody took yours out of the dryer. Like, that's a normal thing. That happens all the time.
Rude. I was going to, like, I planned on, like, sneering at him for years to come, and maybe even being a dick and putting bleach in some of his shit, too. But, like, yeah, I don't know. He punished himself well enough, so.
I guess so. You're like, no, I'm never going to get retribution for my clothes.
Yes. Because that's the star of the story, is, like, my clothes and their vengeance. Yeah, no. The poor guy was just really mentally ill and obviously had a lot of anger issues. I have had my friend Joey, his girlfriend jumped out of one of those buildings downtown. she was just really depressed. She suffered from bipolar, and
Oh no.
yeah, it was tough for him. It was really tough for him. He moved to Thailand after that and did a whole eat, pray, love thing with his
Oh,
mom.
that's nice.
Yeah, yeah. He's a good artist too, but it was just sad that it had to happen like that. And then I had one neighbor who had fallen to his death. That one was that's the one that shook me the most for sure. But that was an accident.
Yeah. Oh, Sarafina, you're so brave.
I guess
So what?
more naive than brave, I think.
Oh, that's true. I don't know. Oh, but you're tough. But so you're a Riot Girl comedian, definitely.
I am.
So when you moved back, you moved away and then you moved back. Did you move it back to the ninth floor again?
No, it was the fifth floor that time.
Oh, were
And
you
things
so much happier?
not really. Like, I don't know. Things were starting to gentrify downtown, and they kind of changed the Cecil building into something different. They were renovating some of the rooms to look like all IKEA'd out. I thought it was really bizarre. But my room was still like gross and weird. So no, it's true. You're like in this beautiful lobby, and then you get in the elevator, and then you get out in the hallway, and you're like, okay, it's like The Shining. And then you get into your room, and it's just like, yeah, like a super rundown motel that should have been like torn down like probably 30 years before I had gotten in there.
Yeah, they need to like making it a landmark to keep. I'm like, why? There's been so like it's obvious bad energies there.
Well, if you're holding on to the history's pretty fucked up, right? So
Yeah.
like, you're really gonna hold on to all this serial killer bullshit? I don't know. If you want to look at it in like a poltergeist aspect, like, I don't know. Like, remember at the end of Poltergeist, the house kind of like folded into itself and disappeared. The property still, it remained, the property was still Indian burial ground, right? So
Right.
I would think that you can tear down buildings all you want to and build whatever you want up there. But if the energies are really that strong, and we're talking about women that were killed by two different serial killers, talking about people that were robbed and thrown out the ninth store like window, like lots of people died there, or some of sorted stuff, some of not sorted stuff. But I think no matter what you're gonna possibly put in that spot, you're always gonna have that energy there. So
You think? But sometimes it's in the walls, don't you think?
I think so. I think old pipes, buildings are almost like living, breathing things,
Yeah, that's why I'm like, take it down, take it. But okay, so what the documentary is mostly about is the woman who drowned on the roof. Now,
Yeah.
were you there for that?
No, thank God. I had moved out of there a few years before that, but I remember watching the news and seeing that. And when they said that it was because of the water, I just thought, like, yeah, I used to brush my teeth with that water. I did. I washed my teeth. I brushed my teeth with that water, like I washed my face with that water. I showered in that water. I was really poor and there was no laundry facility. So I even washed my clothes in that water. Like, I don't know. I probably didn't drink the water because all the pipes in downtown LA are kind of gross. So I wouldn't recommend it.
Wow, they don't have any laundry?
No. I had to go to a different laundry. I had to go to a laundry place. But I think most people that were living in that building just like wash their stuff like in the sink, and I had to do that. I washed my clothes in the in the shower and in the sink before, wringing them out, hanging them to dry. I don't know. When
Sarafina.
you just gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah, you do what you gotta do. Yeah.
I know how to be poor. I grew up poor, so it's whatever. It's like I don't care. I know how to. I've washed a shirt in a sink before and hung it to dry. It's whatever.
Yeah. But now, yeah, you grew up with shameless parents, like shameless.
I came from humble beginnings. We were called the feral kids on our street. We were the like the dirty little street cats. Everybody knew nobody was,
Wow.
no one was taking care of us. We were pretty much on our own. It was the 80s and 90s. We were latchkey kids. Parents were working and all fucked up on cocaine and all that jazz.
Yeah. You turned out so great.
Sweet. Well, I will tell my mom that. I can't wait to
Yeah.
brag.
Yeah. Yeah. But then, okay, so you missed the drowning. Did you, when you heard, so for people that don't know, this woman was bipolar, 21 years old. She was from Canada?
Yeah.
Canada, and she not moved there. She was on vacation, on holiday. And the documentary takes all these different turns where you think it might be all these things and sinister things. They do one episode where you really think it's this guy Mayhem. I was convinced it was him. And then later I was like, oh, he's creepy. And then because everybody tortured him because of the murder, he, like, at the end, he's like this nice guy. When he's like this crazy guy through like sinister as hell, creepy as hell.
Well, he's like a death metal goth dude. Like,
but
I don't know.
To the extreme, don't you think?
I don't know. My brother's kind of one of my brother's super into death metal. So I've seen it. I've been to death metal concerts and I've seen the guys all painted up like orcs from Lord of the Rings, and they look kind of silly to me. I kind of giggle at them. So really, when the second they debuted him on that series, I'm like, oh, give me a break. There's no way.
I thought he was so creepy. I guess I never really knew death metal. I know a lot about punk, but not death metal.
But he's like a musician, He's not.
Right.
It's not a lifestyle. It's like showmanship, really. He's just
right. But
that dude's trying to look cool and trying to promote himself, But
right.
I'm sure he had a nightmare of a time trying to not look like a serial killer. I don't know. My dad was like a Mexican metalhead kind of guy too. So it's like, I don't know. I come from a different sort of people.
Right. Yeah. Which is you tough as hell. I love it. And funny as hell. Yeah.
I try.
You're funny as hell. So
I felt bad for that guy, but I thought he got really good exposure on account of it. So
yeah,
good for him.
Definitely. But he did get good exposure because of it. But it seems like they really ruined his career. Because he
was living in the Cecil. What career are we talking about?
Right. But he never broke character for all this stuff. And then when they did the documentary, he was just like, I didn't do it. Like he looked like he was broken by people just accusing him of it.
Well, I can imagine if people are giving you constant death threats, like who can handle that kind of stuff?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that just proves my point that he's not like some crazy serial killer. He's like an artist, and artists are a little sensitive. Like,
we're sensitive babies.
Right. I don't know. He was like another Marilyn Manson kind of esque thing to me. So I was just like, cute. I hope.
Yeah.
Like, his mom probably went to all of his concerts and stuff, like, that's my son.
Mayhem.
That's I haven't checked out any of his music for real. I wonder if he's actually a decent musician. But as far as I can tell, it's just that death metal, like
yeah.
Blah, blah. This is our new song called like that.
Yeah. But yeah, so I thought it was for sure him. I'm like, oh yeah, it's him. And then it gets creepier but then for a little while I thought somebody had, like, she had found somebody and they had followed her because of her online presence. And then when they made it seem like the place was haunted and that made her do it, that's when I was terrified. But then at the end, you just find out, I don't want to give it away, but at the end, it's not as scary. Well, the whole thing's, what's scary is that whether someone took her up there or she went up there by herself, because she drowned in the water towers on the roof. It's
Right.
creepy as hell to me. Like, there's no way I would go on that roof with a stranger or by myself and get in the water tower.
Yeah, no, the fact that she, took her clothes off and all that stuff, like, I don't know, like, was like some entity luring her there, or
Yeah, that's what creeped me out. That's what creeped me out. And then her hands being weird and her popping out was creepy.
well, the fact that they're missing like 60 seconds worth of footage on the elevator is really weird too. They seem to have lots of reasonable explanations for a lot of it. They saved the smoking gun for the ending, and the smoking gun, I was like asking in my head the whole time, well, what about this? Why is nobody confronting this issue?
Yeah.
So when you watch this document series, the question that's going through your head the whole time, well, what about this? They don't mention this part. What you're thinking is exactly what they're going to like shoot at you at the very end. Like, oh, here, like this is the smoking gun that you're missing the piece of. But we were all, I really do believe that most people that watch this show, they're, at least reasonably smart. So like it wasn't brain science, like it was in the back of my head the whole time. They just did a really good job illustrating it all.
They really did.
They did a great job. I mean, who knows what the truth really is? Like nobody knows except for that poor girl that died, unfortunately. And, I mean, most conspiracies are covered up with very reasonable explanations. But the fact that just the history of that hotel, like if there really are entities that live out there, if there really are hauntings that live out there, if there really are like people walking in some other dimension, after in the afterlife, like I don't know, like the evidence towards it was just, that's what spooked me the most, I guess, is that she really was, she seemed to be like looking for somebody.
Yeah, that's what's the creepiest part. Yeah.
And sometimes I wonder, like, people who are mentally ill, like schizophrenic people and bipolar people, especially people who hallucinate stuff, there's so much that we don't understand. Buddhists believe in like up to 8th dimensions of existence that we live in every day, and we only get to see like the first 4. So I always wondered, like, people living in a schizophrenic world without medication, like, are they seeing those dimensions that we don't get to see? Even if this bipolar girl, they say some people, what they consider their mental illness is also their gift, like autistic people. Autistic people can have limits to where they're at in life, but they're given extraordinary gifts as well. I have a nephew who is just, he's a little genius. He blows my mind how smart he is. He's lacking some social skills and trade, so like schizophrenic people, we really don't know what's going through their minds. We don't understand schizophrenia very well. We've only scratched the surface as to understanding what we're seeing. So I always wondered if they're just seeing these dimensions that we don't get to see. If there are energies and there are entities, are these people maybe less mentally ill and more clairvoyant as a whole perspective that I kind of look at sometimes.
Yeah, that's an interesting look at it. But the one thing that I think, though, is don't they always seem to be thinking people are after them? Like, it's never like a positive thing.
No, it's mostly negative.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I think the higher the dimension, the more positive, the more light worker people or entities are. I feel like the lower, so if you're schizophrenic, maybe you're seeing the lower dimensions.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe. I just think that you get to see. They obviously see something that we don't get to see.
Right. Right, and maybe it's real in some way.
Right.
But probably it's lower dimension.
They say that we live in the first 4. Of course, the first, second, and third dimensions are all what we see here. 4th dimension's kind of what we feel. 5th and 6th is like like seeing other like completely different worlds, and that
Yeah.
like seventh and eighth is where you'll see like gods and aliens
Yes.
and
Aliens.
fairies and yeah.
Yes. Supposedly we're moving to the fifth dimension.
No. Well, we've
Right now, and
trashed
that's what this
the first
then that's what
floor.
this is all about. And that's what this is all about, the pandemic and bringing all the darkness to the light so that we can move to the fifth dimension.
Oh, well, I would say we're in a pretty desperate state right now. So let's
Right.
get going, right?
Let's
Let's
do it. Let's
just
do
do it.
it. Oh my God, Matt, like, so now I'm watching the Woody Allen documentary, but imagine
Oh
I keep
God.
bringing you on. I'm like, stay tuned. Sarafina will be on the next episode. She went out with Woody Allen for a little while. Like every documentary, I'm like,
Well, he adopted me, so I
yeah,
kind of had
yeah,
it
yeah.
in.
The next, I'm like, I just watched Nexium and Sarafina was like you just are attached to each documentary.
Every I was one of his adopted daughters, and every dad thinks his daughter is the prettiest. So
Yeah. Oh man.
he thought I was so hot. I don't want the Woody Allen stuff is just gross. Like, I don't know. You all like how you get past I married my daughter. Like, there's no way. Like,
I
how?
was always like, he only married the one daughter. It's not like he married more than one daughter.
Yeah, he only had the one.
He only married one daughter. Like, what's the big deal? But now I found out that I watched the documentary. Oh, wait,
Uh-oh.
this isn't in the documentary, but my friend said, who I watched it with, that they adopted two kids, two girls. And I'm like, oh man. But I don't know if that's true or not. That's not definitely in the documentary, but that made me be like, oh, like maybe because I'm always like, he just married the one, he's still married to her, but the fact that there's daughters, I'm like, and I always thought the picture that that Mia Farrow found,
Yeah.
not that they should ever be pictures of the daughter naked, but I thought it was like more just like a kid naked standing there, but it was very provocative picture.
Woody Allen just gross. I don't know. Before I even knew
Gross.
he was a perv, I thought he was kind of like a wheezy little worm,
Yeah. I love his movies though. Even the worst ones I love.
Bananas and like Casino
Bananas,
Royale. Bananas was pretty
Sleeper.
ridiculous.
Sleeper was my favorite movie for a long time.
I loved Casino Royale. I thought that was like Austin Powers wouldn't have existed without that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Hollywood is just it's unfortunately like that. It's so weird. Like, yeah, I don't know. I honestly I don't know. I never thought I'm not in the Woody Allen generation, so I never thought he was that funny. So I was never that attached to him. So honestly, I always just went gross. You're just a gross old weird looking
Yeah.
skinny little tiny little. He's like a tiny dad too, like the little
Yeah.
tiniest little. He's so
Pervert.
petite looking.
He's a little pervert. Matt, I want to put him in the Cecil.
He's a teensy weensy pervert.
I want to put him in the Cecil Hotel. See how he
Itty
does
bitty.
on the
Itty
top
bitty
floor.
pervert.
So at the Cecil Hotel, is there a penthouse floor or is it just the top floor?
Oh, I don't know. I never went up there. I think maybe once when I was like hanging out with some neighbors, we went up to the top floor, but there was an alarm on the rooftop door, so we never really went up it. I don't know if you ever like, they say in the documentary that she may have like climbed out the window and up the
Right.
fire escape. I did do that one time, and not in the Cecil, but at another building where you have to go out, climb up the fire escape, and then you get to the part where it's not the stairs anymore; it's a ladder just going straight up to the roof. First of all, if anybody out there has the balls to do that, kudos to you, because it is freaking terrifying to climb up those ladders, because you do, and you're very conscious of the whole fact that if you slip, you're fucking dead. You're falling off and you're splagging on the ground. I only climbed up onto one rooftop like that down there, and I was shaking the whole time. It was terrifying. Like,
And to do that alone, were you alone?
Yeah,
You were? You
yeah,
climbed up that thing alone?
yeah. I just wanted to see what the roof. All the views from all the rooftops downtown are
Must
incredible.
have
So,
been
and
amazing.
they don't let you up onto any of those too. So, you
Badass. You're a
gotta
badass.
sneak up onto all of them.
Yeah. But like if you're gonna climb up and drown yourself in the thing, like how did she even know the thing was up there?
I don't know. Maybe a
So
ghost lured her up
I
there.
know, right? But for her to like if you're gonna do that, like just jump off the roof.
I don't know. She could have been high and just looked in the tank and thought, oh, it would be nice to just wait around in some water for a little while. And she probably didn't realize that there's a way to get in, but there's not a way to get out.
Uh
I could see myself being stupid and naive enough to think that that would not be a horrible idea. Well, it'll be fine. I'll just like get out through the indoor ladder. Well, there is no indoor ladder. Like,
yeah.
like you're screwed
But
now.
but like how would she know that those are water tanks? Do you know that there are water tanks on the roof?
No, I had no idea. And all the other
She's
buildings that I
21.
lived in downtown, they didn't have water towers on the rooftops. None of them did. That's the
Right.
only building downtown that I've been on the rooftop to, and I've seen that. I don't know. Just like, was she running and hiding from something? Maybe.
Yeah. What was the other thing? I forgot. Shoot. So creepy though. Ooh. So I can't believe you went up on the roof by yourself. But to go swimming in the thing by yourself, I don't know.
There's no way. I would never do that.
Burn
First of
that
all,
place.
come on. If you see water tanks at the top of a building, that is potable water for people to brush their teeth and shower in. Don't go in there. That is rude and unsanitary. Anyways, unless you're being chased up by a ghost, then yeah, run and like go wherever you can. I guess. I don't
That's
know. What do you?
that's what was cool. Like all the people that got involved in it, like they seemed to find out more than the police did.
That's sad. I noticed that too. Then that's depressing that the cops didn't pick up on stuff that amateur sleuths off of the internet did. Like, come on, guys.
Right. Yeah. Did you see Ripper about did you live in the UK during that time? The Ripper in the UK, I think it was like the late 70s. And when you watch that documentary, you have to watch it. It blows your mind how stupid the police were. Like we think the police are stupid here. Like they were so stupid. They had a picture of the guy, but they were like, "Oh no, this call-in voice, this is the guy." But they had a picture, like, and they weren't posting the picture everywhere. They were going into clubs where people were dancing and drunk, stopping and playing the voice. Like these people are drunk. They're not going to help you get and the voice ended up not even being the voice. Like watching it, you're just like, come on. They were so stupid.
Oh, I haven't seen that yet. Well, I don't know. If you think about it, even today, when you think of it's like not even so much the police, but like the scientists they have. Like forensic scientists are what they use, right?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you can go to like they have schools for that. There's called like the biggest one's called DeVry. Like you can call 1-800 numbers like it's ITT Tech, or if you want to be a Phoenix and get your art degree online, like it's like seriously, it's like what do they call those schools?
Online?
Like it's a
Great.
trade. It's a trade school, but there's another vocational. It's like a vocational school. And these aren't scientists with science degrees. These are like people that like went to DeVry for 18 months and learned how to dust off prints and like I
Yeah.
don't know. I mean, if I'm going to have scientists investigating murders, I want like real scientists, not some kid that took 9-month course at a vocational place, like,
Yeah.
I have a GED and a degree from DeVry. I do murder investigations. Like, it just seems a little, I don't know. I feel like it could be done better,
Right.
Sorry, I don't mean to offend anybody that went to DeVry. I'm sure it's a lovely.
We love DeVry. Oh my God.
Good for you. Anybody that got your online degrees, good on you.
Do you remember that commercial where they're like, if Maria can do it, anyone can do it? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
It's like, what? Leave Maria alone. That's what my friend said when she found out I quit drinking. She's like, Jackie can do it. Anybody can do it.
There you go. Oh, great. We're the low bar.
Yeah. If Jackie quit drinking, anyone can. At the Cecil Hotel. Oh my gosh. So wait, do you know, so the Night Stalker, he killed everybody in their homes. But the other guy brought people home to the Cecil and killed them there?
Yeah, what I was told is that he would ride in a cab in Skid Row, and he would lure prostitutes into the cab, and they go back to his place, which ended up being the Cecil, where he would like torture and kill them. But if you look at the documentary, it also said that he was like posing as a journalist. So the cops took him on a ride to show him where all the prostitutes hung out, where all the big red light districts were. So if anybody used to blame, like, the cops
Again.
The police literally escorted, and chaperoned a serial killer around the state to showcase the best kills to get. It was pretty much what happened in that. That's crazy.
Unbelievable.
How
not? I mean, those walls of the Cecil are loud. I mean, are thick. That nobody heard these women getting killed.
I don't know. When you're in loud, crazy places like downtown Los Angeles, you try to ignore a lot of the noises that go on around you, because there's always noise going on around you. I don't know. I like to think that maybe there'd be some good Samaritans if you hear a woman screaming for her life, but I don't know. I remember a neighbor telling me about a lady lived on our floor, and all she did was answer the door. And when she opened the door, a guy stabbed her in the chest 18 times. Like, she didn't do anything to provoke that. And she probably didn't even have time to scream, By the time she had a second to take a breath, there was already a knife pierced into her lungs, just deflating them. Like, I don't know.
Like, your floor? That was on your floor?
Yes.
Oh my God.
But I mean, if you're going to be a serial killer, they're going to tie their victims up. They're going to try to knock them out for a while. There are ways of silencing people. So, I think, those guys probably, the one that had the girls inside the hotel room, I'm sure he had them all tied up and gagged. So
how did you get him out of the hotel?
I don't know.
I like asking you like you know.
I know, right? Well, when I was there, they just threw all the bodies. But no, but they say, like, in the documentary, like, they toss a lot of bodies just out the window, which is just nuts. Like, but that's Skid Row, Like,
yeah. But the serial killer didn't take the prostitutes and throw them out the window. He had to have.
I don't know what he did with them. I don't know. You think that most serial killers would, like, chop them up and take them out in small pieces? Like, I think most people, don't even look at me like I'm a sociopath, because most of you people out there are obsessed with serial killers even more than I am. So don't even. But I'm pretty sure if you, like, go through, like, documentaries and movies about serial killers, they chop them to pieces and hide them in their freezer and take them out slowly. And I don't know, get creative. If anyone's creative, it's a sociopathic serial killer. They have to think outside the box. I don't think they're capable of thinking inside the box. So
yeah, there's another documentary that I watched that is all about it's like they interview a psychologist, and she talks about all the serial killers, and some of the serial killers, like, are in denial that they had bad childhoods. Like Ted Bundy's like, oh, my childhood was fine, and she's like, his mother was sent away. They didn't want him and ignored him. And we found out that his grandfather was also his father. And so there was all sorts of stuff. But there was one guy who pressed the button for the electric chair or whatever. And she went to interview him because he had killed like 30 people from the electric chair. And he was like, "Oh yeah, I'm fine. It's easy. Like I don't it it doesn't bother me at all." And he was like, "Oh, do you want to see?" Sometimes he's like, "Sometimes I do art. I do an art after. Like it gets me to do art, and I just have to do this art. Do you want to see the pictures?" And she's like, "Yeah." And you see the pictures, and they're like the most scariest things you've seen in your life.
Oh my God. Mr.
Like,
Rogers on the outside, but Charlie Manson's inside.
Yeah, it's just like darkness. But yeah, and what's interesting is that I'm even doing this podcast because most of my podcasts are about light stuff. But I want to talk about like high energy stuff. But I feel like you can't have the high energy stuff without the dark energy stuff.
No, it's true. Life is a balance. So what's good to some people is evil to others, and that's just kind of like the chaos of the world. But I don't know. Like, I mean, serial killers come from trauma, from what I see.
Yeah.
And even if they can't remember it, that trauma usually happens to them when they're like toddlers. So they can't remember that stuff. They just absorb it on a subconscious level, which is the worst way to do it. And then, before you know it, they're kind of like killing small animals and torturing sisters. And remember, like in like the 70s, they did this documentary about this little girl who was a sociopath. Like her and her brother came from like a heavily abused family, and she got adopted. Her and her brother got adopted, and like she had to be like locked in her room at night because she would go into her brother's room at night and torture him, like stick pins in his fingers and
wow,
and try to mutilate his genitals. And when you see her, when they record her, like talking about it, there's no emotion in her face. Like it's gone. Like she's just very matter of fact. Like, yeah, I stick pins in his fingers sometimes. And she's just like, wow, this is like a 7-year-old little girl, and I am frightened of her more than life itself. Like, oh my God. Like, no, and this just like she's like calm and collected, and that's the creepiest part. It's like the Norman Batesy part of it, right?
Yeah, I like that Norman Batesy part.
It's very Norman Bates, but she was traumatized that like when she was like 2 years old, she didn't remember what the hell happened to her, but whatever happened to her, she definitely absorbed. And that's the real terrifying part, is that a lot of it's not on a conscious level, it's on a subconscious level. Right. So it's like what the back of your mind is telling you to do can be really powerful sometimes, but to drive it to those lengths, like, wow, what happened to these people? What the hell happened to these poor kids that turned them into these crazy serial killers?
Right.
And why are we as a society so obsessed with seeing all of it? Why are we?
We are. Why? Yeah. And I would think that I wouldn't. I really did go do a good job of avoiding that kind of stuff for a long time. But yeah, you were like the Night Stalker. You have to watch it. And I was like, okay. And then you're like, now watch the Cecil. I was like, no.
They're creepy. You feel like you're watching a scary movie, but you have to give
it's real.
Well, it's real, and they edit it so you feel like you're watching a scary movie for sure.
Right? They make it even creepier.
Mm-hmm. You feel like someone's gonna sneak up behind you.
I have another creepy question. So the Night Stalker, he went to the other people's houses to kill them, but he raped the children. He would kidnap them and rape them. So did he bring those children to the Cecil?
Ooh, not that I saw. I hope not. Probably though. Where else is he going to take them? Yeah. He either took him out in his car or he took him back to the place. It's weird. Like, it's weird that I can talk about this stuff like without bagging an eye. Like,
right.
I empathize with all like the people that were traumatized by
Oh,
this.
yeah.
I feel super lucky for dodging a bullet. Like I've gotten OCD from when one of my neighbors downtown fell to his death, and that was hard to deal with. So, I mean,
Do you mean PTSD?
oh, what did I say?
OCD.
OCD. Oh shoot. Yeah, I had PTSD. Yeah, one of my neighbors was he
Like
was
I
smoking
couldn't
a
stop
cigarette.
cleaning.
Yes, I was cleaning and it traumatized me.
I kept thinking the oven was on.
That's why I don't take out the garbage anymore. I'm just in a big pile of garbage around over here. I did have one neighbor that he was smoking a cigarette out on the fire escape one morning, and the the railing was like really rusted, and it snapped off, and he folded over and fell to his death. And actually, I got pretty bad PTSD from that. But that's because I saw like all the other neighbors across the street in the building were looking down, and when I looked down, I saw what had happened to him, and that was really terrifying to see. It was very gory, and yeah, I don't know if you ever recover all the way from seeing stuff like that. I
Yeah.
definitely know. I've only seen one other dead body after that that had died like that, but like I don't ever want to see anything like that again. It definitely traumatized me, and I'll never. Yeah, every time I think about it, it gives me the chills. You know.
Right. Yeah, not good.
No. Yeah, it may not give me OCD, but it definitely gave me PTSD for like a few days.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Sarafina Rodriguez. And everybody go see Sarafina do stand up when
Yeah, just
we can do it live.
despite this dark conversation, we're actually very funny ladies.
Yeah, right, right. Well, all cleanings have some darkness.
Well, I don't know. If we weren't so used to dealing with the dark, we wouldn't be able to bring so much light into the world, right?
Yeah, right. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Okay, everybody go see Sarafina Rodriguez. Follow her on every single social media. Do it.
Do it.
Do it.
Follow Jackie.
Yeah, follow me, you maniacs. Don't kill anybody. Bye.
Oh, don't likewise. Bye.